Hello there, viewers. Good day to you and welcome back. Glad you guys are here. I know, I'm super glad to be here. Dave is super glad that you're here too. Say hi, Dave.
Hi.
Everybody say hi, Dave. Hi, Dave. Anyway, guys, so this 2011 Hyundai comes in with an interesting electrical quirk. The customer states that the turn signals, when they're operated, the lights turn on and they stay on. And then they say that when you turn the headlights on, the turn signals turn off, but the indicators on the dash light up, indicating that the lights in fact are on, but they do not blink. So we have some kind of electrical malfunction going on with this particular Hyundai. As you can see, it's already up on the rack. We did some undercarriage inspection on this. We were looking for leaks. Something that they had mentioned was check the brakes out, and they had said something about, not a missing door handle, but we're gonna quote that too. It said something about a vibration while driving, and we seem to have been able to find their vibration. Take a look at this tire, and what I want you to do is don't look at the tire, look past the tire as I rotate it, and you can see that hop to it right there on the inside edge? Don't, right there, yep. We have a hop on this tire. Let me raise this vehicle up some. We're gonna go to the back side of that tire, and I'll show you what we found. Moving on up. While we were inspecting, I found a few minor things. I guess the owner of the car, a customer, had said that the spark plugs were rusty and they wanted that looked at. But we also found a bunch of engine oil leaking around the back side of the valve cover over here. I understand that's actually pretty common with these particular engines. Something I'm gonna estimate later on our quote. We'll see if we're gonna top off that valve cover, or fix that valve cover rather, words. But we want to address the issues that they came in first. And indicator lights, although not a popular choice amongst motorists, is actually a safety feature to use while you're driving. So you kind of want to use your lights to tell people what you intend to do. You're going to go straight, no lights. You're going to go left, you turn on the left side, blinky lights. You're going to go right, you turn on the right side, blinky lights. And that is a visual aid for other motorists. Imagine that. So anyway, I see a little bit of 200-mile-per-hour tape right here. Looks like it caught some curb treatment once upon a time and broke the undercarriage plastics. All right, so moving down the bottom of the chassis, we can see it's got a little bit of oxidation on our ferrous metal components here, especially that flex pipe on the exhaust. That's not looking too great. Ding, ding, ding. Looking for rattles. These heat shields like to break loose after the bolts rust off, and then the shield will flop around and make rattle noises. It's never okay. Let's see here. All right, well, we made our way back to this wheel in the corner. That's why we were here. I'll show you what we found. Watch the actual wheel. See that? There it is. Right. Where'd you go? Right there. And look, somebody was hitting it with a hammer. Perhaps they were trying to straighten it back out, but this is a result of smacking into the curb and it bent the wheel. So now the wheel and tire are egg-shaped, which is why the tire people moved this over to the right rear. What they will do is a bent wheel or a wheel and tire combo that has a lot of vibration in it or required a boatload of wheel weight to balance out of the machine. They'll move that to the right rear because in theory, that's as far away from the driver as you can get, and so the driver may not feel the vibration if it's back here on this corner. Now this one over here, this one needs a tire. It's built in the 30th week of 2018. This is the DOT number. 30th week of 2018, the last four will tell you that information. A lot of dry rot in it. Some curb action, evidence of past curb action. This car likes curbs. The front likes curbs and the rear likes curbs. This tire is just kind of worn out. Edges are choppy. More corrosion and oxidation. Okay, brakes look decent. It's not bad. We've seen worse around here on the rust. This one's not bad. Yeah, Florida is experiencing an influx in northern car transplants. We're getting a lot of those. What is this? That's something that used to be attached to maybe the exhaust. Yeah, it's a heat shield for this CV boot right here. That's attached to the bottom of the converter. That's rusted to nothing. Goodbye, heat shield chunks. We'll just leave that alone. Okay. Under the trans, I don't know what that is. Some orange liquid. Rusted aluminum. Front tires look good. Looks like we have a recent rotation here. Yeah. What do we got? These are Highway Touring Mavis All Seasons. Okay, so these are Mavis tire house brands. Are these Mavis tires? No, those are Sumitomo tires. Those are from Tire Kingdom. How about this one here? This is a Escata. That's a Kumo Escata. So that's another one. So we got, what, 3 different brands of tires on here? And another Mavis. So yeah, this looks like this thing went to the tire shop. They put 2 on it and sent them on their way. Okay, well, enough undercarriage visual inspecting. Let's go ahead and let her back down. We found the bent wheel. We found some tire issues. So what we need on this car is 1 wheel and 1 tire. That will bring all of the rubber up to spec. Speaking of rubber, need wiper blades. Yeah, see how that blade is, you can't see, there's no illuminators. See how that blade is just like permanently folded over? It's not gonna wipe very well. One way you can check to see if blades are any good is you peel on the end of that, and if it tears off super easy, the rubber's compromised. So those are okay. Again, here's that, there's that oil leak. Our belt's not looking too great. That's probably original to it. Okay, on our way back down. Again, get back on track, Ray. We need to check out the turn signal situation here. So what I'll do, we're gonna hop into the cabin. Ring. We're gonna key this thing on, get some electrical power going, and we're gonna recreate the conditions that were described to us by our consumer. Okay, Hyundai. Beginning engine starting sequence now. Looks like we've got 136,122 miles on the odometer. Tire pressure warning indicator. The customer had stated something about a check engine light or an ABS light or an airbag light or something. And yep, there's our red balloon face airbag light going on right there. So we do have an airbag fault that is currently active. Mavis says the oil change is due in 2,000 miles. Airbag light is off. Okay, turn signal, rapid flash to the right, rapid flash to the left. Tell you what, let's go and hit the 4-ways, the hazard lights. We have the flashing. So let's go outside and see if the actual marker lamps are flashing as designed. That one's going. That one's going. The one on the mirror is going. That one, and the one on the mirror. Okay, so what that tells us is all of our actual marker lamps are functioning as designed. So turn the hazards off. Left side. We're gonna do it again. Flashing. Flashing. Flashing, but the thing is rapid flashing, and it shouldn't be. Let's check the other side. So we are flashing, flashing, and flashing, but also we have the rapid flash, okay? So the switch works left, switch works right, and the hazards are also working. Let's try it again with marker lights only. Headlights are off, but the markers are on. Markers, oh, I have to turn on the signal too. Left signal, rapid flash, no flash, see that? So when we turn on the switch, the multifunction switch, there is no flash at the fronts on the left side. Let's try the right side. We have flash in the front. No flash on the front. Okay. Same thing with the headlights on. Headlights are now commanded on. Nothing rapid. No door handle. Rapid flashing again. All right. But look at here. The indicator is not indicating inside anymore. If we turn the headlights off, it does indicate. We turn on markers, it stops indicating. Turn on headlights, it stops indicating. That's the right side. Let's go left. And when they're turned off is when it indicates, but we still get rapid flash out of it. Interesting. Let's get the scan tool and take a gander at any trouble codes that may be stored in these vehicles' control module. All right, coming in with a scanner here. Let's see what we get. Power this unit on. Beep. Beep. There we go. Scanner is alive. Let's get her plugged in and powered on. Little light so we can see what we're trying to see. There's our plug, upside down. Connection established. Okay, 2012, not 2011. 2012 Hyundai Elantra 1.8 liter 4-cylinder Doke. That's a dual overhead cam with variable valve timing. We'll call them a SOC for a single overhead cam, SOC, SOHC, and we'll call it a Doke for dual overhead cam. I like to say Doke, it's more funner. Let me pull up engine codes in the ECM first, see if anything's in there. And then what I'll do is I'll select, ooh, a misfire, look at there. Cylinder 2 misfire, okay. Didn't even know that was in there. Let's check cylinder 2 while we're at it. So what I'm gonna do here, we don't need to have the engine running. Key it back on. What I'm gonna do is go to code scan. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but it's gonna go through, key on, engine off. It's gonna go through and ping every module in the vehicle and pull the trouble codes for us to analyze in one screen. So while that thing is code scanning, let's go grab a 10 mil and pull the ignition coil. Okay, so while we're here waiting on the thing, the previous place said spark plugs are rusty. So let's find out if we do in fact have rusty spark plugs or not. These coils appear to have been changed. Spark plug socket coming in. I wonder if we're gonna find brand new spark plugs in here or not. But if they said they were rusty, why would they be new? But why would we have new coils and not new plugs? Why do I try to make sense out of certain things? And these are fantastic, brand new iridium spark plugs. So, the thing said misfire on cylinder number 2, right? So here's what we're gonna do. Since we have no visual indicators of what the problem is, we're going to introduce some variables and let time tell us, or at least narrow down for us, what the problem is. So right here we have coil number 2, right? Right there we have spark plug number 2. What we're gonna do is we're gonna swap coil number 2 with coil number 3. So there's number 3, there's coil number 2. And then regarding that spark plug, we're going to move spark plug number 1 into the hole for spark plug number 2. And what we're going to achieve here is all of the ignition components on the affected cylinder are going to be in a new location. Therefore, if the misfire changes location, we can follow the misfire with the component. Does that make sense? Let's get this guy disconnected here. Another iridium NGK, good plugs. Drop that guy down. And then the spark plug that came out of cylinder 2 is going to go to number 1. So we split the plug and the coil, moved those over here, took 2 known good components and installed those on the problematic cylinder. That is the process, or the strategy that's being employed here. It's a very quick way to check this out and eliminate either a coil or a plug. Now, what'll happen is if we still have a misfire on cylinder 2, what we are going to learn here is that it's not a coil and it's not a spark plug. So if it's neither of those things, that leaves us with a base engine problem or a fuel injector. Plug that guy in. 1 10mm, 2 10mm. And I don't think it's a coil because these all appear to have been replaced. These are not OE coils. Click. Twice clickage. Very good. Okay, so our scan tool should be done pinging all the modules. Let's go take a look and see what kind of trouble codes we have that are stored outside of the ECM. Okay, climbing back in. Engine code says nothing. That's odd. Let's restart this unit. We'll give it all the time that it needs to develop that misfire. So ECM codes, nothing. ABS module, we got a C1283, yaw rate lateral sensor signal, that's history code. C1688, invalid CAN data, so that's invalid data that came across the network. That's also a history code. Airbag codes, 2 of them. Battery voltage low. And driver airbag resistance too high, second stage. This right here, this might be our smoking gun. So the airbag system, there's 2 deployment loops in this driver side airbag. What this trouble code is saying is that the airbag module in the vehicle has detected resistance that is out of range on that second deployment loop with that bag system. So it might need an airbag, might need a connector, might need wires, might need an airbag module. There we go. Turn signal right rear open circuit at the smart junction block. That's weird. Right rear, huh? Open circuit. Open circuit left front, open circuit right front. So the smart junction block is detecting that the turn signals are not functioning. Let's see, TPMS tire pressure monitor, I don't care. We're not gonna worry about that right now. Weight classification, don't care. All right, so what we have really to work with here is a misfire on cylinder number 2 and a driver's airbag deployment loop problem. So what I would like to do is go into the airbag module and we're gonna see if we can pull up a PID that's gonna give us the resistance values of the airbag system. There it is, I went right past it. Event 1, we're gonna go, nope, not in there, there's no data there. Event 2, do we have data? Show me the data. No, we don't have any data in there either. What? This scan tool is garbage. I'm getting a new one. Yeah, I'm gonna get a new scan tool. I don't like this one. Ever since the subscription or whatever expired, and I've got to pay the fee to update the machine that I own, it has removed a lot of function. So now this is just a glorified code reader. Engine off, it says. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Blah, 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 blah. None of this is what I want. Cut. I know what we're gonna do. I was gonna shut this off. I'm gonna let this run for a little while. That way, if it's gonna misfire, well, we can catch it. I'm gonna head over to All Data at the computerizer, and we're gonna look up some service data and see if there's any bulletins that can steer us in the right direction. Now, having said that, I want to also employ some creative thinking here. You see, we have an airbag issue on the driver's side. What we also have is a 2012. We have a secondary failure regarding our indicator bulbs, correct? Applying both of those concerns, we can actually hypothesize that there's potential in this particular instance for the same component to be causing both of those issues. Let's see here. Let's type in airbag. Let's go airbag first. And what I'm alluding at is airbag. It's going to be airbag. I'm alluding that there's potential that one component that connects or buses signal between both systems may have suffered a fault. So I'm speculating that there's one component that is responsible, or at least partially responsible, for both of these failures. And that potential component is actually what's called the clock spring behind the steering wheel. See, you'll notice on the steering wheels there's electrical components, buttons, airbag, things of that nature that go through the steering column. The issue is you've got a mechanical device, that the wheel, that is rotating on a fixed device. And if you would like to run wires through there, you've got to have a way to pass the power from the rotating device to the fixed device without twisting up all your wires. And what we've invented is called a clock spring. And it's basically one wire that's turned sideways and curled up around itself, and then it exits somewhere. That way you can run power from a movable object into an immovable object, words and speech, and it'll have a good solid connection because the length of the wire, or the wire, doesn't change. It's just coiled up and it's uncoiled. So when you rotate your wheel left and right, it doesn't have to pass power through, like, let's say, a plate. The old clock springs used to have just like metal plates with contacts on there. Now we just use an actual wire that's just wound up. So what can happen is we can get damage to those wires or the connectors, or get corrosion on them, and it can cause poor connections. Anyway, as I'm babbling on, I'm also going through and trying to find any bulletins on the SRS system, and I'm not seeing much here. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to pull the steering wheel off, and we're going to take a look at that clock spring and see if perhaps it is our faulty component. I think it is, because my deductive reasoning tells me that since we have one common part that is potentially responsible for both failures, it's the most likely cause. So we're going to go with that. Plus, I also am aware through history and experience that the airbag clock springs on these particular vehicles are extremely failure prone. So we're going to power this down with some action, and we're going to pull this steering wheel off of here to gain some access to the clock spring assembly. So outside in the engine compartment again, I'm going to disconnect the battery, because we don't need to be messing with airbags with live electrical circuits. Let's pop this guy loose. Please come loose. Oh, seriously? There. Alright. Complete system power down is achieved. Battery's not looking too healthy. Let's go get the steering wheel pulled off. Okay, so hanging out on the right side of the steering wheel here, you see this little hole right there in the side of the wheel. What is inside of that hole is the little tab that's going to pop this front face loose, and I need to go in there with a little screwdriver or a pick, press that tab just right. Takes a few attempts. You're going to push that button in, there we go, and it popped the side of the bag loose. So I'm going to go around here to the other side and do the same thing. So we need to do this without pushing the right side back into place. This side over here is popped out, so we need to pop the left side out the same way. Find the button in there. Where are you, button? There it is. Now that button's free, and I think the other side re-engaged. So let's back it up and try it again. Oh, hang on, there's a Pulling on the top here. There's one more. We'll hold the bottom down there. There we go. Okay. So now what we have is our back side of the airbag, and there's the two deployment loops. There's loop A and loop B. Okay. So what we need to do is disconnect this whole bit of business here. We'll pop the clips out. Do not damage connectors. If it takes force, you're doing it wrong. Hey, Jesus, is that you, sir?
No.
No? Okay.
Okay.
It's not you.
It's not me, it's the other guy.
This right here, this connector, that is the horn circuit. Let's just go ahead and disconnect this thing. It's just a spade connector. If you forget that, the horn won't work. So now we have our steering wheel, or at least what's behind our steering wheel, and we need to get this thing removed because our clock spring component is the unit behind the steering wheel. It has this little yellow bit of business on here. So what we need is looking like a 21mm socket. Disconnect these guys. Yeah, it's a 21 socket, and I might need a steering wheel puller to get this thing to come off. All right, coming back in. Got an impact gun here. Kind of overkill for the task, but it'll work. Unclickage. Now see, there are splines on that steering shaft, and those engage splines on the housing here for the steering wheel. Like I said, I may have to use a puller, but I'm going to try a ancient secret here. I'm going to get behind it, and I'm going to pull on the wheel and column with my knees. So I'm kind of using calf muscle to pull back, and then up here at 10 and 2, I'm pulling, and I'm going to just kind of wiggle. There we go. You wiggle it enough, you yank the steering wheel right off of it. Now I can feed my wires back through, get rid of these guys, and what we have exposed is some of the clock spring, which is this bit of business right here. Not looking that great, but I want to take it out all the way. So we've got a Phillips screwdriver bit, another bit here, and I think there's probably one or two at the bottom. So what we need to do is take the screws out, and that's going to remove this bezel, or allow me to remove this bezel. And once the bezel's out, I can get to the screws that hold the spring in, and we're going to remove that. There's our screw. For the record, I already called up the parts store and ordered one of these because, as I stated earlier, I believe that given what we know right now, this is the most likely cause of the problem, because both faults are running electrical component power through this unit right here. And seeing as how we have high resistance on airbag deployment loop 2, and these have a see you later, man.
I repositioned the wiper blade, by the way.
Beautiful, thank you, sir. Anyway, seeing as how these things have a known issue for faulty and failing clock springs for that airbag deployment loop trouble code, we're going to go with that first. And I'll show you where that that transition takes place in a moment here. Where is the tab that releases this? Oh, there it is. There's one. Yes, correction, these are tabbed in, not screwed in. And there are two more connectors down low. This one, I believe, services, or not believe, I know that that one services the airbag. The yellow connection indicates the airbag connector, or an airbag circuit rather. And we've got the 4 deployment loops in there, a positive negative and a positive negative, one for the deployment loop A and one for deployment loop B. And now you're going to go, but Ray, you did not actually test anything, and you're right, but I'm about to test something. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this old unit and we're gonna go out with a multimeter and we're gonna probe resistance between the pins, and we're gonna look for the one that is out of range. If we need to, I will go ahead and connect the actual airbag to it, and we're going to figure out if this is producing our high resistance, or if it's the actual airbags that are plugged in that are producing the high resistance. So let's run over to the bench real quick while we wait for that new component to show up, and we're going to ohm these things out, check resistance on them, and then see which one is out of spec, and then go from there. So for the record, we should be looking for, I want to say like 1.5 to 2 ohms per circuit. If we start seeing like 100 ohms, or if we go OL on the meter, then we know that that is the deployment loop that is affected. And if we test it on this component, then we know this component is responsible for at least one of those symptoms. We're gonna need the digital multimeter. Alrighty, so our meter's set up. Hope you guys can see that. Here's our clock spring. Now again, we have 2 different deployment loops. We'll call this one 1 and call this one 2. It might be different, but I don't know. What I want to do is I'm looking for resistance between these 2 connections, like a short or something of that nature. So we've got the blue wire connected to it, that's hooked up to the ground on the meter, and then our red is in my hand, and I can use the red next to the blue, and we're going to probe these pins on this deployment loop connection. Now look at here, we're at 0.7 ohms, okay? Seems reasonable. I said earlier our range should be like 2 to 5, or 0.2 or whatever, but we don't have a bag connected either. But we have 0.6, 0.7 ohms of resistance between these 2 connections, and I'm just pretending we're driving, because keep in mind this is supposed to rotate with the steering wheel while you're moving. Okay, so that side checks out okay. Let's check the other one. See what we get here. Connect both sides. 5 ohms. See that? It was 0.5 ohms, now we're 5 ohms. Interesting. Holy smokes, look at that. There we go. Found it. 260, 380. Yeah, so there's some kind of a short or wires rubbing through the side of this business. It should not be doing that when I rotate the center. Just to confirm that, we're going to go back to the other connector, and we're going to check the same, do it again, just to make sure. Yeah, we're good. 0.6 ohms, 0.5, that's what we should see. Okie dokes, that's a confirmed kill. So real quick, while I don't have parts, and while I know this is junk, let's tear this open and maybe we can see like a visual on what has broken. Normally I wouldn't break things to take them apart, but I know this is not going back in, so I don't care if I break it. There's more tabs in here. Ah, there we go. So here is our wire extension. It curls up, it wraps around, and that's basically all our clock spring is we've got our 2 connectors here that connect to this band wire, like something you'd find inside of a PC. So what do they call this, a strip wire? Strip wire, sure, it's a wire strip. Anyway, we got both circuits here, one for the airbags, there we are, one for the airbag and one for the steering wheel buttons, and this thing basically just curls up inside of this unit, and that is what allows you to turn your steering wheel while maintaining a single electrical connection. And this thing is junk. Okie dokes, XYZ amount of time has passed, and I have a replacement clock spring assembly for this particular Hyundai. So let's go slap this thing in real quick like, and see what kind of improvement we get out of this vehicle's operation. So don't get me wrong, I do realize that this component may or may not have anything to do with the turn signal business that this customer is experiencing and what we had just seen. But I also didn't want to rule it out as being a major possibility. I was assuming that perhaps the connections for the turn signal was bussing through this airbag right here, and that may not be the case. It could still be the case. It still could have an input, but I do not know, so I'm not going to get my hopes up on fixing the turn signals. That's probably going to be something else, but I know we're at least going to fix the airbags portion of this this vehicle. So that guy's in. Let's go ahead and put the little bezel and whatnot back together. This kind of snaps into place, and then it's got the 3 fasteners, 2 screws up here and then the one at the bottom. Good to go. That's screwed in. Throw our key back in there. Now the steering wheel comes back into position. So what I must do is slide the 2 connectors back through, get the spline lined up, push the wheel on. I need to pull, hang on, we're off a step. I thought I could have pulled that off later. This is the lock that keeps this clock spring from spinning while it's in transit and storage and shipping and all that good stuff. Okay, that's good. So now I can plug that guy back in. Got our lock nut. That's bottomed out, and a couple clickages. So these are color coded. We got the teal and the yellow. Pretty self-explanatory. Slip it back in. Lock the tab. This side over here, slip it in. Oh look, the installation prohibits that. Just slide that down. And of course our horn circuit. So now, get everything tucked in and lined up. Push the horn back on, and that is locked into position. Good to go. So let's hop back out, connect the battery one more time, and we're gonna check for airbag deployment loop codes, and maybe, fingers crossed, we have fixed the, let's call it, the turn signal business. Probably not, but there's always room for wishful thinking. Okay, climbing back into the cabin again. Let's plug in our data link connector, gaining access. There we go. Key on. That sounded like a rod knock. Hey Dave, what are you doing back there? Hang on, let's go see what is blown up. There's something here that's blown up. What happened?
We got a hot battery now.
Oh, hey, do that again. I want to hear what just occurred here.
It was awful. I shut it off right away.
Was it? Yeah, fire it up. Oh yeah! That's great. Yeah, you kill it. It's gonna throw a rod through the side of the block. Okay. That one's blowed up. Anyway, let's head on back into our scan tool on this unit here and see what kind of codes we have left over. We're backing out of everything. Still in airbag codes. Come on with it. No communication, pish posh. Those are all lies. Okay, pulling up airbag again. Oh, I think I just went into data. No, there's codes, okay. So let's go check. Driver's resistance loop too high, okay, so the codes are still there, low voltage and resistance too high. We're gonna back out of here and we're gonna clear these units out. Yes, clearing. Codes cleared. No light. Okay, back into event 1 codes. That's where we found nothing there. Okay, so let's shut her down. Restart. Reestablish communication. Back into code menu. Come on with it. Retry again. I am not happy with my subscription-based hardware scan tool that I bought. Why am I paying money to use something that I already have? Oh, that's right. I'm not paying money. That's why I can't use it. And now it's locking me out. That's super. Let's try again. Turn the wheel. And we're not coming up with a DTC. Okay, so no airbag trouble codes, no airbag light. Let's check turn signal function. We got right side, rapid flash. Left side, also rapid flash, and headlights on, no flash. Okay, so that was a 50-50 win. The clock spring fixed the airbag warning indicator. It did not seem to fix the turn signals. Wah, wah, wah. I was really hoping to get a double hitter on that one, but unfortunately, I have more Diag to do. Okie doke, so I went ahead and pulled up the codes in the smart junction block, and what it's telling me with regards to this rapid flash is the right front turn signal has an open circuit, and the left front turn signal also has an open circuit. So let's revisit these signals real quick and just see if we can't verify anything visual under the hood before I have to start doing some more invasive diagnostics on this. So as we saw earlier, there is one bulb right here, and I don't know if that's a turn signal bulb. That's high beam. There's none down there, so there's only just the one unit. Let me try to squeeze in there and disconnect this bulb. So I realized that we did visually see that these lenses were working, or these bulbs are working, right? But additionally, I don't know if these are a, how would you describe it? A single filament or a dual filament light bulb that's in there. So let's at least take one out and take a look at it. Gonna need some pliers. Pliers coming in. Just give this a little bit of a head start. There we go. You're supposed to take these headlights out to get to this, by the way. It's actually like a 4/10 labor guide for headlights. Yeah. All right. So look at here. We have dual filament bulbs in here. 2. So there's actually 2 circuits that go into this. Odd, says I. Let's take this thing. Yeah, why are there 2 filaments in it? I don't understand that. Let's see the housing for the bulb. Alright, so it's got ground, positive, and negative. Okay. So there are dual circuits in there. One thing I do need to make note of is the connections on these little filament businesses right here. See that little springy looking guy in there? If that spring relaxes or gets pushed down too far, it'll cause bad connection where it meets the bulb right here. So I'm going to go in there with this screwdriver and kind of pry those back some. It's not really a spring, it's just a little tab. Yeah, that looks clean. That one looks clean right there. Okay. Let's put this thing back together. Let's just see what happens here. So now our bulb is back in position. So we're gonna stick it back inside of its housing, if I can figure out how to do such things. It only goes together like one way. I think I got it. Yeah, I got it. Okay, that's connected. And nada. Okay, so it's not working. Turn the headlights off. One filament's working, the other is not. Headlights back on. And it shuts down. Okay, well, that tells me at least the ground side on this this unit here is functioning as designed. It looks like we only get one connector for these headlights. Let's verify that. So headlight is now out. Turn signal still signaling. And if we turn off the headlights in the dash, we're back to flashing, and now we're, oh, look at here. When we turn it all on, we have rapid flash now on the we have rapid flash on the gauge cluster with the headlight disconnected. Let's plug it back in. And look, now it's back to a solid. Okay, so here, let's take that light bulb back out. We're trying to introduce variables yet again. Take the light bulb back out. Get pretty good at this. Light bulb has been removed. And we are now rapid flashing again. Okay. So clearly we have a resistance issue on this circuit, and I feel like it's happening right here. I don't see why this is causing the issue, but it appears to be the issue. Here, let's introduce one more variable again. So we've got our bulb right here. Now, I do not have dual filament amber colored bulbs. I just have the single filament. However, this is going to work right now for testing purposes. So we've got this bulb installed. Let me squeeze you back into the headlight. Get it locked down here. Okay. And with that guy back on, still rapid flash. No flash up here. Okay. Let's go over to the passenger side, disconnect this guy. The whole light is disassembled. And let's check. It's right side. Okay, so the right side is doing the same thing. We're back on the left side again. That's interesting. Look, I disconnected the right and now it doesn't light up at all. Anyway, headlights on. We're set up for left side. Let's reconnect this one. I'm going to disconnect this one right here. And we're just going to stick the meter on this connector until we figure out which one of those is turn signal. And we're going to see if it's getting voltage to that headlight when left side turn signal is turned on. Okay, so here's the strategy. We have a marker lamp indicator. It's like it's a 194 part number bulb, like a little one you'd see on the end there, you'd see inside of there. And I have this guy connected to two jumper leads, the yellow going to ground, and then the blue one here, this runs to a little pin, and that's going to let me probe the connector for the headlights. So what we should have coming through this connector is a ground somewhere, and then we've got a high beam, a low beam, and then one for markers and one for the signals as well. So, okay, that's on, solid. I think that's the headlight. Nothing there. And here's our blinker, okay. Let's just confirm that's the correct one. Switch off, light off, switch on, light on. Headlights on and off. Okay, so what this tells us is we still have that same rapid flashing symptom right there, okay? Now, because we have the same rapid flash, what's happening here is the computers inside the vehicle have determined the resistance is incorrect on that turn signal circuit. okay? What we've effectively done so far is we made sure that the connection at the little connector thing, that socket, what have you, that socket that's plugged into the headlight, those connections are okay. So that's not causing a resistance issue. We've also determined that all the circuitry from this connector to this connector with inside of this headlight is also not the problem. So we have employed the problem-solving strategy of process of elimination to determine that the issue is between somewhere from this connector and this switch. It's over here somewhere, so it's not external when it comes to the left side circuit. I still need to kind of conduct a similar test on the right side circuit, and we also need to check out the right rear. But at this point, I'm going to either believe it's going to be the flasher module, internal wiring, or perhaps one of the ECMs like the body control module, or perhaps even the smart junction block. I think that was mentioned in the DTC list. There's a smart junction block. Whatever the controller is that operates these signals is potentially on the list here. So what we've basically done so far is found out what it is not and what it could be. This thing's been running for a while. Let's get back out of this and go into engine and see if it has given us a misfire code or not. So we're gonna shut it down, do a restart just in case. Just in case it's gonna ask for a restart in order to set DTCs. We still have no airbag light. This is good. Auto IDing. Come on with it, engine. Engine codes. One more time, pull it up. No misfire codes just yet, so maybe we need to drive it to get that misfire to come up. Anyway, guys, here's where we stand. We know what's not wrong with the turn signal system. We already made one repair on the airbag issue. We're in progress diagnosing the misfire. At this point, lights are out. At this point, guys, it's getting a little late in the day, and we're getting a little late on this video, a little long, I'd say. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this opportunity right now to go ahead and close this video out. I will do such things as always by thanking each and every one of you guys for watching this video. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. There is going to be a part 2 on this car because I still have to diagnose whatever was up with the misfire, and we really need to nail down this circuitry issue with our headlights. But that's going to take some more time, and I have to save that one for another day. So again, and as always, thank you guys for watching. And most importantly, before I go, I'd like to remind each and every one of you to have yourselves a great day. See you guys later. End of video, end of Hyundai, end of Diag, end of parts cannon-ish, end of transmission.